Well, welcome to Rural Strong Live, today presented by Fastline.com, Nutrient and Soil Test Pro. We have a special show for you today as we're seeing red, and that's a good thing. It's the 100th anniversary of the venerable Farmall brand, and today we wanted to welcome into the program Joe Miller, tractor segment leader for Case IH in North America, to talk about the legacy brand and the plans the company has to celebrate it in 2023. And Joe, welcome into Rural Strong Live.
Great. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, how you been?
Real well, thank you. Real well. Busy, but good.
Well, I tell you what, these are busy times here as we're winding through the winter show season and getting ready for planting season. And in the midst of all that, we're celebrating an anniversary here as the Farmall brand turns 100. As we start off today, can you provide a brief overview of the history of the Farmall line?
Sure can. We are very excited at Case IH to be celebrating 100 years of Farmall. When we think about our history and what Case IH is, you can trace it back to the International Harvester brand. And then in 1923, when they revolutionized the tractor business at the time, and they created this radical new concept, which became very commonplace, which was the tricycle tractor with the high clearance, the capability of doing row crop work, heavy drawbar type work, and the ability to fasten and mount tools to the underbelly and to the front, to the rear. And really, they kind of coined that phrase farm all. And that's how that kind of came to be. And that concept was revolutionary and wild at the time. And it's really become the industry standard. And a lot of times when you think back of a heritage model or something great from your past, you think about those tricycle style tractors. And it's a fond memory for me personally. And I've got a picture of a Farmall M up on my wall. And it's something that I think is really cool for a lot of people. So to celebrate 100 years of Farmall is very exciting for Case IH. We're looking forward to having a year's worth of celebrations to really discuss and talk about that iconic brand and really how we plan on moving that iconic brand forward.
Well, along the way, so many milestones. The Farmall tractor made history in 41, being the world's first diesel-powered row crop tractor. In 1965, it became the first two-wheel drive row crop tractor to exceed 100 horsepower. In 1974, the 5 millionth Farmall was sold, making it the first tractor to ever reach that 5 million mark. And I want to share this cool old photo here. This was sent to me by a friend and former coworker, Tom Stevens. And this is a photo of his grandfather, Melvin Stevens, who worked at the International Harvester Louisville Foundry from 47 to 74, and just so much pride. We still hear people around this area here in the Louisville area talking about the fond memories of Farmall and International Harvester today. When Case IH was created in 1985, why was it so important for the company to carry forward that Farmall brand?
When you go back in time in 1985, when the merger happened between the J.I. Case Company and the International Harvester Company, all through the acquisition that was by Tenneco, who was kind of the parent company at the time. There was a lot of leadership that came from both sides of that fence. And so when you had the old Case legacy, you had the International Harvester legacy. And that took a little while for things to sort out. And then it did. In the Case Corporation, you would see, when I first hired on with this company, I dealt with people that were from Case or from IH, and they had that kind of background. It was about 2003 when we brought the Farmall name back. And that was under the vice president at the time for Case IH North America was Jim Irwin. And Jim had grown up through the International Harvester side of the business. And he just knew how important that legacy was. He knew how important that name was. And it became very clear that we were going to bring back Farmall, and we we're going to do so in a way that really tied into every application, every farm, every government, municipality, school, things like that. If there's an application, we'd have a Farmall that fit. And that was some of the first ones that were introduced in 2003. And we've been going strong with that name ever since. So there was a period of time there between about, I'd say 74, 75 and 2003, where Farmall was not as prevalent in any of our branding. But we brought that forward in 2003, and we've got just a ton of plans to keep that Farmall name promoted and prominent and relevant in all that the Case IH tractor business has going forward.
Well, we have many antique tractor enthusiasts who follow the show, many of whom own the classic Farmall tractors. If you could talk a bit about the passion and enthusiasm those owners have for the Farmall brand and what it means to current Case IH employees.
Well, it's great. And I think that's the history of the brand that makes it such a strong business to celebrate. When personally, I guess, as a customer first, and then as a employee of the company, I grew up. The first tractor I drove by myself was my grandpa's '53 Super M. So growing up on some of that older equipment, when I was growing up, yeah, it was an old tractor, but it was still used to feed the cows every single day. And I think that that's where we at Case IH we have a tagline that we're really proud of, that we're built by farmers. And there's a lot of employees at Case IH that really we relate well to folks that celebrate the older equipment, that remember the strong heritage of the International Harvester, the JI Case Company, as well as Farmall. It's one of those things that I think it's a point of pride for us as well. You mentioned the Louisville area. Tomorrow I'm heading down to the National Farm Machinery Show. We'll be down there for several days. And you mentioned the tie with International Harvester to the Louisville area. We're going to be talking about that. I'm sure that we're going to have a number of customers come through, because we always do. They want to talk about the old tractor they used to own, or maybe dad's or grandpa's, something like that, that goes back in time. And they remember those strongly, those heritage iron pieces. And we love those conversations. Probably more important, though, when people come up and they want to talk to you about, this heritage iron and things they grew up with, there are a number of people that maybe used to be close to the farm. Maybe they're a generation or two now off the farm, but it's really that old legacy iron that pulls them back to the farm. So they might be 2-3 generations away, but they remember spending summers at grandma's or aunt and uncle or something like that, and going on hay rides and driving that piece of equipment. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this iron, is it really does pull people back into our strong agricultural roots in North America. And personally, being involved in the agriculture industry my entire life, I just love those conversations and love the passion that people have for this industry and these brands.
Well, and then when people circle back around and they're looking to make updated purchasing decisions here, the subcompact and compact tractor markets have been really strong here in recent years. How has Case IH worked to position Farmall to be relevant and competitive in those segments?
Well, that's a great point. When we look at compacts and subcompacts, and then getting up into the mid-size utility tractors, as we talked earlier in our discussion, what does it mean to have a Farmall tractor, something that can, farm all and do all those applications? In almost every application, every farm business, they need something that's going to be able to do some loader work, do some draft tillage work. They want something that is simple yet comfortable and easy to operate. As well as there's times where you just need, for a couple, 2-3 acres, maybe a compact tractor or something like that, where you can do loader work and backhoe work and mower work. So the Farmall tractor can really do things on any farm. And that's why that name is still so appealing and so powerful in this segment. So Case IH continues to work. We continue to promote. This year, at the anniversary of Farmall, we're talking that Farmall is the one for all. And I really think that that's it was a neat opportunity when we were kind of talking about how do we celebrate it, what do we talk about, and that Farmall tractor being the one for all. Now, we have over 30 models of Farmall in our lineup today. So your Farmall, right, the one that you need, is maybe different than the one that I need, and maybe different than somebody else. But the fact that we have multiple variations, multiple sizes, multiple configurations, that Farmall tractor is still there for every application, every type of agricultural or city government kind of thing, any type of use situation that we can think of. And that's what makes it a really exciting sub-brand and part of our Case IH brand.
As you mentioned, up to more than 30 models today. When designers and engineers sit down to refresh the current models or add new ones, how much thought is put into perpetuating the legacy of those first Farmall tractors while also focusing on the evolving technology in the marketplace?
Man, that's a great question, because you do have to strike a balance in terms of not only having a tractor that can truly be used by everybody in any application, but as well jump forward and say, what can we do with some of these new technologies that are in the market? Right now there's an awful lot of talk about automation and autonomy and different types of, fuels and power sources, things like that. And so you have to, when you're balancing this, is make sure that tractor, that what you're designing has something that everybody can use in the different markets, and it still adds value to the customer. Ultimately, we are a customer first organization. So whatever we can do that would add value back to that farm operation, then that's something that we want to pursue, and we want it to be value add to our customers. So there's a balance, and sometimes that means you end up with different options and packages for each different customer type, and that's great. And that's what makes this industry so exciting, is that it's not all one size. To your question about what do we do to make sure we continue that legacy, in the IH logo at the end of Case IH, it's a red eye, and that's very strong International Harvester legacy. And if you look at that IH logo, you can almost see the red center part of the eye. That was the front of like a Farmall M tractor driving towards you. And the dot on the eye was the operator's cap, right? He was wearing an IH hat. So when you look at it from the front, it's like someone's driving towards you. There are often conversations that we think about the customer in that seat. And we use that IH logo as an example where we're celebrating that customer is there. So how does what we're doing, whatever new feature, whatever new technology we're looking at, how does that impact the operator in the seat? What can we do to make their experience best in class and the best it can be?
That said, I forgot to put on my party hat.
There you go. I like it.
We're having a party, and I forgot to put on my party hat. So as we look today, the powers that be at Case IH, when they sit down and talk about this, is the prevailing thought here that Case IH is going to be around in some form or fashion long into the future?
Oh yeah, we are. Actually, that's an exciting thing, and a lot of times these interviews always like to add with that. We're celebrating 100 years of Farmall, and in that 100 years, we went from horsepower, truly the animal horse, right, to mechanized horsepower, and that was a major shift. I mean, you think to go from animal power to mechanized power, and for a long time, I thought, oh, we'll never see anything like that, right? We'll never see that kind of transition. But now we look going forward and all of the awesome technologies that are available in the market and the things that we're working on. Farmall, we're turning the page. We're talking about the next 100. This last 100 was revolutionary, and we are just as excited to talk about the next 100 as we are what we've just experienced.
Well, to celebrate the first 100 years of Farmall, last week at the National Cattlemen's Beef Association annual convention in New Orleans, you all launched a contest to collect stories from Farmall owners about how Farmall has helped share the farm experience over the years and how it's become a part of the family. Tell us more about that contest.
Absolutely. We're giving away a Farmall 75C. And the 75C is a very modern tractor. It's very comfortable. It's got a very nice cab. There's a lot of, it's one of our most popular sellers. We really like the 75C. And so when we go forward with the Farmall tractor, the giveaway is going to be that model. And we started at NCBA last week, and we're going to be collecting entrants into that program right along for the entire show season, culminating with the National FFA convention in October, where we will select the winner. So there's going to be a lot of celebrations for the coming up here at National Farm Machinery Show, at the Commodity Classic, some of the other shows going on in the summer, Farm Progress Show, Ohio Farm Science, and then on to National FFA Convention in October.
So folks want to enter. How can they do that?
They go to Farmall 100. It's the number 100.com. So Farmall100.com. And there's a spot right there. They can sign up. There's also clips from customers, from employees. There's some vintage ads and things like that. So there's a lot of ways that we can tie in the Farmall story and the 100-year celebration, all at Farmall100.com.
Well, I tell you what, these are exciting times for Case IH and Farmall. And you mentioned earlier a presence at the National Farm Machinery Show this week in Louisville. Of course, we'll be there for that. Also at Commodity Classic in Orlando next month. When folks show up at any of those shows, what can they expect from Case IH?
We've got a number of new models coming. We've got there's some new launches that'll be kicking off here at National Farm Machinery Show, World Ag Expo at Tulare, California. That's also kicking off this week. So we're going to have some new tractor launches, which we're really excited about. And if you want to see them, I'll see you in Louisville in a couple of days. And then those new launches will carry over to Commodity. Additionally, we're going to be talking a lot about Farmall 100. And with that Farmall 100, for the model year 23 production, we're going to have a 100 years of Farmall decal that's going to be put on each of those units. So at National Farm Machinery Show, a lot of customers are going to get their first look at those 100-year commemorative decals that'll be on all the Farmall tractors built this year. And that's a great way just to showcase and celebrate. What's the history and what's the heritage of 100 years.
Well, some busy times, but some really exciting times here for Farmall and for Case IH. And Joe, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today on Rural Strong Live, and invite you to come back anytime to share the latest with Farmall and Case IH.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. I look forward to additional conversations. So, like I said, I'll be at Louisville starting tomorrow through the week, and look forward to visiting with you and your listeners as well. I mean, we're really excited to talk Farmall. We're excited to talk tractors, and Case IH is really proud of working with our customers and the experiences that they have. So I look forward to visiting with your listeners at all the shows coming forward. So thank you for the time.
Well, I've done my very best to order up some Chamber of Commerce weather here for folks trying to get there this week, and I think it's going to be actually unseasonably warm for a change here in Louisville. So looking forward to having anybody here. And we want to thank everybody so much for taking the time to join us, and invite you again to join me this week on Rural Strong Media's Facebook page as I head to the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville. I'll be there Wednesday through Saturday, taking you behind the scenes with equipment manufacturers, including Case IH, as well as ag entrepreneurs and more. So make sure you follow us there on the Rural Strong Media Facebook page and catch us there. I'll also have coverage in a few weeks of the upcoming Commodity Classic Show in Orlando. So I hope you'll join us there. Also, we'll be heading to Washington, D.C. here in a few weeks to meet with lawmakers and USDA officials and others to talk Farm Bill and some of the other hot button issues of the day. So I hope you will join us for all that here, not only on the socials, but also Tractors and Troubadours, our a weekly podcast that drops every Friday, 52 weeks a year. You can catch that wherever you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Deezer, Audible, Odyssey, the Samsung free app, and also Player.fm. We're in all those places. So wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. And you can also check us out on Rural Strong Radio, which is our 24/7 streaming radio station, found at ruralstrongmedia.com. or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. And each day we bring you agriculture programming, as well as some great traditional country music, Western swing, bluegrass, a little Southern rock, inspirational. We've got you covered here. But join us each day as we bring you the Bottom Line Report from Mark Oppold, as well as Farmgate with Stu Ellis, and also The Dirt from Nutrien, and Ag Law and Tax Report with Roger McOwen. A lot of great ag content. We're adding more by the day. And again, a plug for The Dirt with Nutrien, our friend, senior agronomist Mike Howell, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. He brings you the latest in agronomic information and just brings you all the tools you need in your toolbox to help you make money, save money, and increase your yield. So make sure you're tuning into The Dirt from Nutrien. Well, I tell you what, again, busy times here coming up in the next few weeks, and I hope you stick with us on the Rural Strong Media socials. And we're portable. Take us with you wherever you go here with Rural Strong Radio and that Live 365 app. You can take us in the tractor, in the sprayer, in the combine, in the shop, the barn, the office, wherever you are. Take us with you and let us be a part of your day. And we want to thank you so much. We also want to say a special thank you to the folks at fastline.com. If you're in the market for any kind of used equipment, make sure you check out fastline.com. Also Nutrien and Soil Test Pro, and they will have a presence at the National Farm Machinery Show this week, as will the folks from Fastline. So make sure you go check all of them out. Well, again, for Joe Miller, appreciate the time today, Joe. It's Brent Adams with Rural Strong Media and the Tractors and Troubadours radio show and podcast. Wishing you a great day and a good week ahead. Thanks much, everybody.